We're at World of Coffee, Brussels, second day, and let me introduce you to someone I met, and we'll talk about Ethiopian coffee.
Hi, my name is Phil. I run Kavoya, which is a specialty import business. My grandfather set up an export operation in Ethiopia in the 1970s. When they kicked out the foreigners, he left it with Mr. Weatherall, Paul Dambassa, who ran it since then. I have been buying Ethiopian coffee for about 30 years now. In Ethiopia, you have one of the biggest coffee productions in the world, about third or fourth in world production. You have some of the best coffee in the world. You have high altitude. You have smallholder production, which is very good for quality. And you have a Typica varietal with a very good flavor profile. So it's really what is not to like about Ethiopian coffee. You have everything you need to produce the best coffee in the world.
So how do you pick a producer or a farmer when you want to buy their coffee? What are the things you look for in the farmer themselves or in their coffee?
The specialty market, which is the bulk of what I do, looks for cup profile, number one. So we want a very high quality cup profile, be it grade 1 or grade 2. And we're looking for different flavors. So in the washed coffees, we're looking for very floral flavors, light, citric flavors, very clean coffees. In the naturals, we're looking for stone fruits, plums, apricots, cherries, and a thicker body. And in anaerobic coffees, we're looking for a little bit of the funk and unusual flavors that we will get. Sorry, we use a lot of European fruit terms, which maybe fruits you don't use, but that's one of the big problems in the coffee industry. We need to create a flavor wheel for East Africa. But we're looking for very high quality, so we choose the coffees we buy on the cup. People send us samples. We taste 20 different coffees every day from around the world. When we taste, we do not know the origin or the exporter or what coffee we're tasting, so we taste completely blind, and we base our decisions on the quality of the coffee we're buying. When we find a very good coffee and we buy it, then it needs to be delivered, and it needs to be delivered well. So after we've chosen due to cup, we then expect good execution. We understand that there's delays sometimes in Ethiopia. You can't get a container to export your coffee. The ship is delayed, and we understand all those challenges. But the people who pack the coffee well, the bags are well marked, the coffee is the same quality when it arrives as the pre-shipment sample, react to our emails well. We know what's going on, they keep us informed. That is a good execution, and when the coffee arrives and it tastes the same as the pre-shipment or the offer sample, we're very happy. And then we'll go back and buy the same coffee the year after. And I always think the specialty market is more like building. In the commercial market, we look for price only. So if I buy Jimma 5, Sidamo 4, Lekempti 5, my buyers will buy 20 containers, 40 containers, 100 containers, and it's down to the last cent a pound. So if I need to buy at 368 and you want 370, I won't buy your coffee, because my margin is so small that if I pay you 370, I have no margin left. So unfortunately, we have to look for price if we're buying large volumes of commercial coffee. If we're buying specialty coffee, that's not the case. The difference in large commercial coffee is that I can have the best price today and sell 100 containers. Tomorrow I'm 1 cent too expensive, I sell nothing. So every time you come with zero sales and you're in the same battle, and it's always based on price, and it's difficult. Specialty coffee is like building a house. You sell 20 bags this year and it's the first brick. If it goes well, next year I come back and I buy 3 bricks. I buy 60 bags. The year after, if they sell well, I'll buy 50 bags of each of those 3. I'll buy 150. And in 3 or 4 years, we've built a business where we're buying 2-3 containers a year, and that can become 10 or 20 containers a year. But you have to be patient. You need to send samples, you need to show your quality, then you need to execute well, and then you should resell to the same people who bought last year. The problem, I guess many people watching this at some point will be new, and they will say, Phil, I want to sell you coffee. Understand, I've been buying coffee from good friends in Ethiopia for 30 years. So many of them have built those houses with bricks, and the number of houses which I add every year is still growing. 20% a year, we buy 20% more coffee every year. 10% of that probably goes to our existing suppliers, who sell us 10% more every year, and the other 10% will go to new suppliers. But in Ethiopia, you have 950 export licenses, so there's many of you trying to sell us coffee. And the way to stand out is to send us samples with a very good cup profile.
would you say the challenges, you've already touched on it, I think, is it the shipment that you would have challenge with when it's a new supplier or a new provider? The shipment, the sample and the actual coffee being different, is that the problem? And if anyone wants it to get into export, not necessarily to your company, but what would you tell them from what you know in Ethiopia? What should they work on to be capable of exporting or to have the quality, specialty coffee, to have the quality, good enough quality to export? What would you recommend they improve on from what you know?
So for me, specialty coffee comes from cherry selection, number one. So wherever your akrabi is based, you need to check that the cherries are only ripe red, not overripe, not underripe. And then it's really a question of managing the post-harvest processing well. In Ethiopia, you have the altitude, you have the varietals, you have everything that can give you a good coffee. So it's in the post-harvest processing you'll determine whether the coffee becomes a grade 1 or a grade 3 or a grade 5. Obviously handpicking can help, but it's really cherry selection and then the drying or the fermentation that create the good quality. It's rare that we get a completely different coffee on arrival, but if you ship the coffee slow or the grain pro bags are forgotten for some reason, then the coffee will age because it's hot when it's in Djibouti and it will arrive without the same, if it's an 87 cup it will arrive at 85 and then it will sell slowly. If I sell it slowly I won't come back and buy more next year. If it arrives at cups 87 and my buyers flight, I sell it quickly, I'll definitely come back and buy more next year.
When you compare Ethiopian export from, let's say, South American countries or Uganda, what would you say is more difficult, if there's anything difficult, trading in Ethiopia versus in any other country?
So I spent 25 years trading only African coffee. I hired a Guatemalan in my Swiss office who was a Guatemalan coffee farmer, and we did 2 containers of Guatemalan coffee. On Monday morning I received the pre-shipment samples. I approved it, and 7 days later I had the original documents for the shipment in my office. So in Guatemala it took 7 days to prepare the coffee, bag it, put it in a container, send it to port, ship it, get the documents and send them to my office. And in Ethiopia that will take 3 or 4 months. So the lesson you need to learn is under promise and over deliver. Okay, if a buyer calls you today and says he wants coffee shipped in July, tell him you can't do it. Because you think in your mind you can, we all think we can ship in July, but reality is we can't. Because realities in Ethiopia is by the time it ships, earliest it will be is August. And if you tell your buyers the reality and add 2 months in your head, and then you ship on time for the reality, your buyer will always think you're fantastic and you ship on time. We used to have a reputation of shipping Rwanda coffee on time, and our competitors had a reputation of shipping it late. And it's because we sold it for October shipment and they sold it for July shipment. And see, we were on time and they were seen as being late, even if their coffee left in September. So be realistic, and you have to you have so many exporters in Ethiopia, you have to do things to mark yourself out. When you send a sample, make sure it has a unique reference number that I can refer to and that you know exactly what the coffee is. If you send me 3 samples and I say I like the middle one, you need to know exactly how it's different from the other 2. Do something different, put your samples in a nice bag, it costs very little, but when they arrive we'll notice. Put nice information on a nice card in your sample pack. Again, when it arrives, we will notice. When we buy your coffee, if we can have a story about the farmers and where the coffee is produced, again, you can create a 1-page PDF by putting in 3 photos and putting some details. The buyers like it. The roasters want to tell their consumers about you and your coffee, and they will keep buying from you and your farmers because they care about you, not just about this.
Amazing. Thank you very much. That was very helpful. All the information I needed. Thank you for your time. I know it's hot, for your patience, and they would appreciate it, and I do too. Thank you.
I'm a second.